Somewhere beneath the waves, right now, something is watching you. Meet the orca, the ocean's most intelligent and most feared predator. It doesn't rely on brute strength. It wins with strategy, with teamwork, with a level of intelligence that still leaves scientists searching for answers. It has a brain more complex than yours. It speaks in a language no human has ever fully translated. And it hunts in coordinated packs, using strategies so advanced, some scientists compare them to military operations. We call it the killer whale. But that name is a lie, because what we're about to show you isn't a killer. It's something far stranger, far more intelligent, and in some ways, far more human than we ever wanted to admit. This is the story of an animal that has never, not once in recorded history, killed a human in the wild. And yet, we gave it a name built on fear. By the end of this film, you'll understand why that name might be the biggest misunderstanding in the history of the natural world. Off the coast of Norway, in waters so cold they can stop a human heart in minutes, a fishing boat cuts its engine. The crew waits. They've learned over years to trust a feeling, a kind of stillness before the surface breaks. Then it happens. Not one fin, not two, 8, 10. A wall of black dorsal fins rising like blades from the dark water, moving together, perfectly synchronized, as if choreographed. This is a pod. And what you're watching isn't an accident of nature, it's a family. Orcas live in tight-knit matriarchal groups, led not by the strongest male, but by the oldest female. Some of these grandmothers are over 90 years old. They remember migration routes, hunting grounds, and dangers from decades earlier. Knowledge passed down like an oral history, whale to whale, generation to generation. But here's what most people never learn. Every pod on Earth has its own culture, its own dialect, its own traditions. Orcas in Antarctica hunt seals using waves they create themselves, washing prey off ice floes in a technique so precise it takes years for young whales to master. Orcas in New Zealand flip stingrays with surgical accuracy. Orcas near Argentina beach themselves on purpose at full speed just to snatch a sea lion pup from the shore, then somehow, impossibly, wriggle back into the water before the tide traps them. No two populations hunt the same way. No two populations even sound the same. And that raises a question marine biologists still can't fully answer. If a species can develop different languages, different customs, different identities depending on where it's born, how different, really, is that from us? But there's something darker here too. Something the fishing boats of Norway know all too well. Because some orcas don't hunt seals or fish. Some orcas hunt the ocean's largest predators and win. For decades, the great white shark held a title it never had to defend. Apex predator, top of the food chain, untouchable. Then, in the early 2000s, something happened off the coast of California that rewrote everything scientists thought they knew. Great white sharks began disappearing, not slowly, overnight. Researchers tracking tagged sharks near the Farallon Islands noticed a pattern that seemed almost too strange to believe. Every time a certain pod of orcas entered the area, the sharks vanished. Not for hours, for an entire season. GPS tags on great whites showed them fleeing the region entirely, swimming hundreds of miles away, and not returning for months. Then, in 2017, the mystery got its confirmation. A great white shark carcass washed ashore in South Africa. Its liver, its single most nutrient-rich organ, had been removed with a precision that looked almost surgical. Scientists identified the cause within days. Orcas. Two orcas, later nicknamed Port and Starboard, had learned to flip great white sharks upside down, triggering a paralysis-like state called tonic immobility. Once frozen, the sharks couldn't fight back, and the orcas would extract the liver, a massive, oil-rich organ, with a surgical accuracy that left researchers stunned. Within a few years, great white sharks abandoned an entire ecosystem they had ruled for millions of years. Not because of disease, not because of humans, because two whales figured out their weakness. Think about that for a moment. This wasn't instinct. This was a strategy, learned, refined, and then taught to others. Because orcas don't just hunt, they teach. Calves watch, mimic, fail, and try again, sometimes for years, before mastering a technique passed down from their mothers. And if a species can dethrone an apex predator that's existed for 400 million years, what does that tell us about what's really in charge down there? But the ocean holds an even stranger chapter, one involving us. And it doesn't end where you'd expect. In 1911, an explorer named Robert Falcon Scott watched a pod of orcas break through Antarctic ice, seemingly trying to reach the men and dogs standing on top. Terrified, his crew labeled them killer whales, a name built entirely on a single moment of fear, misunderstanding, and distance. That name stuck for over a century, but here is the detail that should stop you cold. In the wild, across all of recorded human history, there has never been a single confirmed case of a wild orca killing a human being. Not one. Compare that to almost any other large predator on Earth, and the numbers don't come close. Sharks, lions, bears, all have documented human fatalities in the wild. Orcas, despite having the physical power to kill a person in seconds, simply don't. Some researchers believe orcas may recognize humans as something outside their prey categories entirely, a kind of instinctive restraint that has never fully been explained. Others believe something even stranger, that orcas may possess a level of self-awareness and social complexity that allows them to distinguish curiosity from threat, prey from bystander. There are stories, quiet, almost unbelievable stories, of orcas guiding lost boats back to shore, of pods surrounding swimmers not to attack but seemingly to observe. Divers describe eye contact with orcas that felt less like meeting an animal and more like meeting someone. And then there's the captivity question, the one this species has never been able to escape. Because everything changes when you take an orca out of the ocean. In the wild, orcas can travel over 100 miles a day. They dive to depths of nearly 1,000 feet. They live inside a three-dimensional world of sound, echolocation, and family bonds that stretch across entire oceans. Now imagine that same animal in a concrete tank the size of a swimming pool. For decades, marine parks presented orcas as performers, smiling, leaping, trained to associate applause with food. But behind the shows, something else was happening. Captive orcas showed behaviors almost never seen in the wild. Collapsed dorsal fins, self-directed aggression, and in some documented cases, sudden violence toward trainers, the very same species that, in the ocean, had never once harmed a human. It raises an uncomfortable question documentaries have circled for years but never fully answered. Were these attacks aggression or desperation? Some researchers believe prolonged captivity creates a kind of psychological breakdown. Stress, isolation, and confinement pushing an animal wired for freedom, family, and vast open water into a state we don't have a clean word for. Not madness, not rage, something closer to grief. Because remember, these are animals who mourn. In 2018, a mother orca named Tahlequah carried her dead calf on her back for 17 days.
This calf's mother is Tahlequah, the same orca that was in the spotlight before when she dealt with the loss of a different baby calf.
Across 1,000 miles of ocean, refusing to let go. Scientists around the world watched, unable to look away, as an animal performed something that looked exactly like human mourning, because perhaps it was exactly that. Orca brains contain a structure not found in human brains at all, an extra fold in the limbic system, the region tied to emotion and social processing. Some neuroscientists believe this may mean orcas experience social bonds and emotional states even more intensely than we do. They pass down culture, they mourn their dead, they coordinate hunts with battlefield precision. They may possess distinct dialects between pods so different that a Norwegian orca and an Antarctic orca might not even understand each other, the marine equivalent of two humans speaking entirely unrelated languages. So we're left with an animal that dethroned the ocean's greatest predator, never once killed a human in the wild, and mourns its young for hundreds of miles. And we named it Killer. Maybe the real mystery was never the orca at all. Maybe it was us, and how quickly we decided we understood something we had barely begun to see. Right now, somewhere in the cold, dark water, a pod is moving together, silent, coordinated, ancient. A grandmother leading her family through waters she's known for 90 years. We call them killers. They might be one of the closest things to us the ocean has ever produced. So we'll leave you with this question. If intelligence, loyalty, and grief aren't unique to humans, what else have we been wrong about? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if this story changed the way you see the ocean, even a little, consider subscribing. There's more waiting beneath the surface.